This is 4 years, 4 out of 5 years now against this opponent in the postseason. How frustrating in the immediate aftermath is it just being unable to get over the hump against this team?
Well, they're a good football team. They've won 2 Super Bowls. They've been to 7 straight AFC Championship games, and that's no excuse. This is a good football team. We got to keep working to get over that hump. There's no doubt about it. Obviously a challenge for us. We'll figure it out.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And I think we've reached that point with the Buffalo Bills, led by head coach Sean McDermott, but the Bills just find themselves in such a hard situation with him leading the football team. It's undeniable that Sean McDermott does know what he's doing. He has proven himself to be one of the best defensive minds in the league, and I would even say one of the best coaches in the league, just routinely having the Bills deep into the playoffs. But I think what we've also learned about these Sean McDermott-led teams is that in the biggest moment, they always just seem to come up a little bit short. And I think a part of it you can definitely say is just playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, who many are starting to compare to the 1990 Chicago Bulls, just how dominant of a team they are. But the Bills have had Kansas City on the ropes multiple times in these postseason games, and it just feels like some key decisions late end up costing the team in a huge fashion. I mean, you even go back to 2021, one of the first times that these teams faced off in this rivalry. Josh Allen had just led the team down the field to take a 3-point lead with only 13 seconds to go in the game. And Sean McDermott, the head of that defense, could not prevent the Chiefs from getting into field goal range with 13 seconds to go. I mean, come on. You even go back to the 2023 season. The Bills are in their own territory. They're in a very close ball game again late in the second half. And McDermott calls a fake punt to Damar Hamlin on like 4th and 5. And then this past Sunday's game, going for multiple 2-point conversions when it was not needed, and continuing to call and okay the tush push when it was clearly not working time and time again. These very crucial and key moments that you need your head coach to be dialed in on. Sean McDermott again has proven time and time again that he is not the man that can do that. But I think the problem, if you are the Buffalo Bills ownership group and organization, is what are the odds that you're gonna find a coach that is better than McDermott? I mean, I think it's fair to say that he completely revamped the culture of Buffalo, because before he showed up in 2017, the Bills were kind of a joke. And in his first year as the team's head coach, he brought them to a 9-7 record, brought them into the playoffs against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And 8 years later, he holds an 86-45 record, which is good for 65% win rate, which would currently be 5th best in the NFL, only behind Matt LaFleur, Andy Reid, Jim Harbaugh, and Nick Sirianni, hilariously enough. So it's going to be extremely hard to find somebody better than Sean McDermott and somebody that can match his resume. But at this point, in having 4 chances to take down Andy Reid and the Chiefs in the playoffs, whether it's at home, whether it's on the road, I just feel like you have to try something different as an organization, a new philosophy, a new way of thinking, just something different. It just feels like this Bills team, if it's going to be led by Sean McDermott, will never take down Kansas City and Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. So I guess if you're a Bills fan, you could just root for another team like the Bengals or the Ravens to take down the Chiefs in the playoffs, and then maybe you face off against another team in the AFC Championship game. But I just think at some point it's worth to take the risk and just try and get somebody that can get you over the hump. I think a really fascinating hire and something that actually could work in the Bills' favor is why not see if Steve Spagnuolo would be interested in taking the head coaching position. I know he's not some super hot commodity coach. He's over 65 years old. He's been a head coach one time back in 2009 to 2011 with the Los Angeles Rams. And I know defensive-minded head coaches are not a super hot commodity either in the current day NFL, but you could be doing 2 things at once here, making your arch nemesis weaker while also getting somebody that has been around championship DNA for around a decade now and has a ton of experience in the biggest games, managing them, coming up with game plans, etc. Could you potentially trade for Mike Tomlin this offseason or maybe even next year if the Steelers have another pretty disappointing end of their year? I don't know. I'm kind of just spitballing names, and those were some of the top ones that came to mind. But I really do think going another route and finding another experienced coach that has gotten over the hump could be what the Buffalo Bills need to finally win their first Super Bowl in franchise history. I would also like to point out that this was seen as like a transition year for the Bills prior to the beginning of the season. A lot of people in the media, and myself included, did not see this team getting this far this year whatsoever. With all the lost players across the roster and the Bills kind of retooling with younger assets, I just thought it was going to be extremely difficult for this team to battle against some of the other top teams in the AFC, like the Ravens, the Chiefs, etc. So to give Sean McDermott some credit, he did get this team way farther than everybody thought that they could actually get with their talent. So I do think that is a compliment that you can give McDermott in terms of his coaching job this season. But again, we still saw multiple moments in the regular season postseason where McDermott's coaching costed the team some games. Houston Texans game comes to mind when he tried to throw the ball 3 straight times inside his 5-yard line. The shootout game against the Los Angeles Rams. Another clock management issue when there was not a ton of time left on the clock. The Bills had 3 timeouts. They were at like the 2-yard line and they decided to tush push and they had to burn one of those timeouts, which allowed the Rams to run out the clock. It's just a lot of moments like that have costed the Bills season after season, where I do just think a change is warranted. But ultimately, I don't expect it to happen. I don't think a lot of organizations have kind of the stones to make that move. But I mean, like, you look at teams like the Philadelphia Eagles in the past, moving off of Andy Reid, then finding Doug Peterson and winning a Super Bowl. You had a team like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers trade 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks for John Gruden that led to a Super Bowl for them. You go to the NBA even, and the Dynasty Bulls, they moved off of Doug Collins, who proved to be a very good coach, for Phil Jackson. And we have seen this in sports history a handful of times where a really good team makes a move with the coach and it really gets them over the hump. And I think the Bills should be another team that kind of follows that route and really just rolls the dice and tries to make a big move happen. I don't have all the answers on specifically who that coach should be. I mean, I gave out a couple of names, but I think the overarching point of this video is that the Bills should not be satisfied with McDermott and this current iteration of this team. The goal is the Super Bowl, and losing to the same team 4 out of 5 years in the playoffs should just not be tolerated. At the end of the day, this is a quarterback and head coach league, and the Buffalo Bills have one of the best quarterbacks we have ever seen. Allen in his 13 playoff games has a passer rating of 101.7 with 3,300 yards, 25 touchdowns to only 4 interceptions. And Allen also now holds the record for the most playoff career wins with 7 without making a Super Bowl start. So it is clearly not a quarterback issue and the quarterback coming up short in these big moments. Allen really can't play much better. So when you look at how these games are managed by the head coach and the way that they've lost these games, and that is why I think it's fair to question McDermott and his future moving forward with this team and if he is the coach to get it done. Because at some point, you got to get it done or somebody else will. And I don't want to see the prime of one of the best quarterbacks we've ever seen pretty much be wasted in the postseason because of some of these mistakes. I'm a pretty big believer in Brandon Beane that he's going to be able to get some more talented players to surround Allen and the rest of the team with. But you can have the most talented roster in the league, but if you don't have a good enough coaching staff, it doesn't matter. And so if I'm the Buffalo Bills, I'm done settling and I'm going to look for some alternate routes to try and finally get this team over the hump. But I want to know what you think about Sean McDermott and the Buffalo Bills and what you think they should do at the coaching spot. Do you think McDermott has what it takes to be a Super Bowl winning head coach, or do you agree with me and think the Bills should try and make a move for an upgrade at that position? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But subscribe to the channel if you are new. Drop a like on the video if you did enjoy it. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys at my next one.